Welcome to the Stoic Golden Tribe, where enduring wisdom meets the strength of presence, and where we uncover the truths modern society refuses to teach men. You've seen the signs. She laughs at your jokes, lingers in conversation, watches every one of your stories the moment you post them. But she never texts you first. She's clearly into you, but the screen stays silent unless you make the move. What gives? Here's the truth that many men miss. A woman can be deeply interested, even emotionally invested, and still resist texting you first. Not because she doesn't want to, but because something deeper is at play, something tied to feminine energy, ancient attraction patterns, and her subconscious desire to feel led by a grounded masculine presence. In this video, we're going to break that down step by step. We'll dive into why she hesitates even when she wants you badly, the psychology behind feminine restraint and masculine initiation, how to read her non-verbal signals and emotional cues, and most importantly, how a man with emotional intelligence handles this with calm strength, not anxiety. If you've ever asked yourself, why won't she just text me first? This video will change the way you see her silence forever. So like, share, subscribe, and drop a comment at the end to let us know your thoughts. Let's get into it. Chapter 1. Why she won't text first. The ancient pattern of feminine energy. Let's go deep, because what you're dealing with isn't just a modern texting issue, it's an ancient energetic truth that plays out in relationships to this day. For thousands of years, human courtship has been rooted in polarity, the magnetic pull between masculine and feminine energy. In almost every culture, through every era of history, it was the man who led the dance of connection. Not because women were weak, but because women were wired differently. The feminine doesn't pursue, she responds, she observes, she waits to be moved. That's not passivity, it's emotional wisdom. You see, in her deepest essence, a woman wants to be led, not by force, not by manipulation, but by a man who is grounded, intentional, and clear. That includes the seemingly small act of who sends the first message. To her, texting you first is risky, not just socially, but emotionally. What if she's too eager? What if she gets rejected? What if it disrupts the dance of polarity and makes her appear masculine? It's not just insecurity, it's instinct. And here's the paradox, she's dying to hear from you. She's thinking about you, daydreaming about your message, rereading your last text, checking her phone late at night, hoping you reached out, but she still doesn't initiate. Why? Because her emotional world is built around being pursued, not chased, but intentionally seen and chosen. That's what makes her feel safe. That's what makes her feel feminine. That's what makes her open her heart. And this is where many men get it wrong. They take her silence personally. They overthink. They wonder, am I bothering her? And eventually they either pull back or send a desperate message that reeks of neediness. But the emotionally intelligent man, he understands that silence doesn't always mean disinterest. It often means anticipation. Her heart is open, but she needs you to lead with direction and intent. When you do that, when you reach out with masculine clarity and presence, her feminine energy lights up. She wants to respond. She wants to feel guided. She wants to step into your frame, but she won't build the frame for you. She won't initiate the lead. She's not supposed to. That's your job. Now let's be clear. We're not talking about chasing here. We're not talking about constant texting, begging for attention, or putting her on a pedestal. We're talking about being a man with direction, one who initiates, not because he's trying to win her approval, but because he's rooted in who he is. He gives his energy freely, but not recklessly. He invites her into his world, not because he needs her, but because he chooses her. That is the difference between chasing and leading. One is born out of lack, the other is born out of abundance. So if she's not texting you first, don't jump to conclusions. Look deeper. Understand the energetic truth behind her silence. Recognize the invitation within it. Because often when she isn't texting, she's actually waiting, not for a boy to entertain her, but for a man to move her. Drop a comment. I lead with calm strength. Chapter 2. Emotional intelligence. She's speaking, just not with words. Here's the truth most men miss. Just because a woman doesn't text you first doesn't mean she isn't communicating. She's speaking to you constantly through signals, body language, and emotional cues. But if your mind is only trained to listen to what's typed out in words, you'll miss the entire language of the feminine. Emotional intelligence is not about being overly sensitive or over-analyzing her every move. It's about being aware, present, and reading between the lines. It's about recognizing the subtle signs she sends when she wants your attention, but her pride, her fears, or her feminine instincts hold her back from texting you first. Look closer. Does she watch your stories, react to your posts, or casually like a photo from 2 months ago? Does she hang on to your every word in person, but then go radio silent when you leave the room? Does she linger at the end of a conversation, waiting, hoping you'll say something more, but never actually says it herself? That's not indifference. That's her way of reaching out. Without reaching out, it's soft, indirect, but it's real. Because the feminine doesn't assert, she invites. She opens the door emotionally and waits to see if you'll walk through it. This is where many men get frustrated. They expect clarity, directness, and logic, the language of the masculine. But relationships aren't spreadsheets, and women don't communicate desire the way men do. This is where emotional intelligence becomes your greatest asset. The emotionally intelligent man knows how to interpret feminine signals with confidence, not confusion. He doesn't assume every silence means rejection. He understands the deeper emotional rhythms at play. And most importantly, he doesn't punish her for not texting first. He doesn't say, well, she didn't message me, so I'm not going to message her. That's a move of insecurity, of tit-for-tat energy, of ego. A grounded man doesn't measure her effort in texts. He measures her energy, her vibe, her openness, the way she shows up when he does take the lead. He knows how to tell the difference between a woman who's emotionally unavailable and a woman who's emotionally receptive, but not forward. You must understand, most women today are exhausted by dating. They've been ghosted, hurt, misled, criticized, or misunderstood. Many feel ashamed for coming off too strong. They've learned that when they text first, it often leads to rejection or imbalance, so they stop. Not because they don't care, but because they do, and caring has cost them before. This is your invitation to do something rare in today's world. Be a man who leads with intention and awareness. Be the one who can see beyond the silence. Be the one who can tell when her soul is reaching for you, even when her fingers stay off the keyboard. But never confuse her hesitation for indifference. The right woman is waiting for the right energy. Your job isn't to chase, it's to understand the moment and decide if you're the kind of man who can respond with grounded, emotionally intelligent leadership. Because when she sees that in you, not just in your words but in your presence, she'll stop holding back, she'll open up, and the energy between you will shift completely. Drop a comment. She feels safe when I lead with presence. Chapter 3. The fear beneath her silence. Why vulnerability feels risky to her. She wants to reach out, but something inside her stops her. That something isn't indifference. It isn't arrogance. It's fear. A fear that's buried deep in her emotional memory. A fear many men will never see unless they truly understand women. You see, when a woman texts you first, especially in the early stages of connection, she's not just opening a conversation, she's opening herself. And opening herself has not always ended well. She might have been ghosted before after showing interest. Maybe she got labeled as clingy, too emotional, or needy for expressing herself. Or maybe the last man she opened up to took her vulnerability as weakness and used it to control her. So now she's cautious, not cold, just careful. Her silence is not rejection, it's self-protection. Even if she feels deeply drawn to you, even if she fantasizes about you, even if she stares at your name in her contacts with her thumb hovering over the screen, she still holds back. And unless you understand this, you might assume she's playing games. But in truth, she's simply waiting for one signal. Is it safe to be feminine with this man? When a woman senses emotional immaturity in a man, when he gets reactive, insecure, or passive-aggressive, she clams up, not out of manipulation, out of survival, because for the feminine, Vulnerability is sacred. It is not given lightly. This is why your energy matters more than your texts. It's why how you message her is often more powerful than when. If your energy says, "I'm grounded, I'm not here to impress you, I'm here to connect with you. I won't punish you for protecting your heart. I respect the pace your soul needs to feel safe." Then her fear begins to dissolve. You become a refuge, a man, not a boy, a presence she can open up around. And this is how you lead in modern dating. Not with control, but with character. Because when she feels this kind of masculine strength, she doesn't need to text first. She starts texting back faster. She adds more emotion, more warmth. She initiates in her own feminine way, dropping hints, sending photos, engaging in longer conversations. But it starts with you making the first move, calmly, confidently, and without expectation. And this doesn't mean you chase endlessly, it means you lead with presence. And let her choose to respond or retreat without forcing either, because a man who understands women doesn't push, he invites. And when the invitation is genuine, the right woman will feel safe enough to step in. Remember, what looks like silence is often just a defense, but if you hold the right energy, her walls will come down and her true self will come through. Drop a comment. My presence makes her feel safe. Chapter C4, How High-Value Men Respond. Lead, don't chase. By now, you understand something most men never do. She's not texting you first, not because she's uninterested, but because she's waiting to feel safe, waiting for a man who leads, waiting for energy she can trust. But here's the deeper truth. You don't win a woman by chasing her. You win her by being the kind of man she naturally wants to move toward. That's the difference between a man who lives for validation and a man who lives by standards. A high-value man doesn't beg for attention. He doesn't double text in panic. He doesn't lose sleep wondering, why isn't she texting me? Instead, he operates with clarity and calm power. He sends the first message when he wants to, not because he needs her response, but because he's aligned with his intention. He gives space without fear, and because he's not afraid of silence. He knows that the right woman will recognize his value, not because of how much he gives, but because of who he is when he gives. This is masculine maturity, and it's rare. Too many men today are stuck in the loop of needing a response to feel validated. They confuse a woman's behavior with their worth. They abandon their emotional frame just to get a reply. But when you do that, you lose the very thing she was attracted to in the first place, your strength. A woman's attraction is not just physical, it's energetic. She feels drawn to men who are grounded, men who are emotionally centered, men who don't flinch at her hesitation or try to manipulate her into quick connection. Think about it. When she doesn't text first, and you sit in silence waiting, hoping, or resenting, what does that say? And it says your actions are reactionary, not intentional. But the high-value man doesn't play that game. He knows that leadership in dating isn't about doing more. It's about doing the right things from the right energy. Here's what that looks like. You message her when it's authentic, not when you're desperate. You don't expect her to initiate, but you notice when she responds with warmth. You stay present in your own life. You don't pause your mission waiting for her. You treat communication as a mirror, not a scoreboard. If her energy feels good, you keep building. If it feels off, you take space, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. You see, leading doesn't mean doing more. It means doing what matters without losing your center. And that's what women crave more than anything in a man. Not the perfect message, not the constant attention, but the energy of a man who knows who he is always and won't compromise that just to be liked. Well, that's what makes you attractive. That's what makes her trust you. That's what eventually makes her text you first, not out of pressure, but because she feels magnetically drawn to your presence. It's never been about the message. It's always been about the man behind it. So the next time she doesn't text you first, don't spiral, don't overthink, breathe, observe, lead. Because when your energy is right, the right women respond without force, without games. Just flow, drop a comment, I lead. she responds.